All right, today on Hidden Equity, this one is for the sellers. We are going to be talking about listing price strategy and price reductions. Now, I'm going to let you in on a dirty little industry trick that real estate agents do notoriously. It's called buying the listing. So the agent walks into the house, they tell that seller, your house is phenomenal. It's the best one on the block. I haven't seen anything better. This one's special. We're pricing it at $11 million. The seller's like, okay, ears perk up, chest held high. Yeah, I never thought I could get that, but let's try it. Why not? We going big. Well, why that doesn't work is because now you just signed a contract. As the seller, you have no showings, you have no offers, and you have no negotiating power because every single buyer is looking at it thinking, okay, well, we're going to wait for this price to drop. And you are stuck in a contract with this person who priced your ego instead of pricing your house. Just saying. So, why is the first impression so important? The first impression is so important because buyers know so much. They have the history of when you bought the house. They have old photos. They have probably driven by and stalked your house quite a bit. They've probably been in neighbors' houses. They want to be in that neighborhood. They study it. And I can promise you, they know every comp in there better than a real estate agent who knows that market. I can promise you that. So, what do we do and how do we price accordingly? And if it's overpriced, how do we do price reductions? All right. First and foremost, listing a house based on what you need, what you've spent, and what you hope to get is not a strategy. We need to look at what the uncomfortable truth is, which is what has sold around. What is the most similar property that has sold around? What did it start at? What did it sell for? What are the days on market? Is it similar just in the fact that it's in the same neighborhood and the same bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage? Or is it also similar in updates? And keep in mind, if we're talking about updates and you've had the house for 30 years and you come in and tell me, oh no, we've remodeled the house. We've owned it for 30 years. And I go in there and it's like, well, this remodel's from 15 years ago. That's not considered a remodel. It needs to be redone again to match today's times. So we just have a lot going on. And unfortunately, the sentimental value that the house holds for the seller, it doesn't hold any weight for the buyer. A buyer's trying to buy a house for the least amount of money. A seller's trying to sell a house for the most amount of money. So this is where the negotiation comes in. And it's super important that the seller understands overpricing a house out the gate will reduce the amount you net. So let me say that again. Overpricing a house from the start will reduce the price the seller will net because you're wasting time on market. And when you waste time on market, the first thing a buyer thinks is, something's wrong with this house. Why hasn't it sold? I mean, there's so much that goes into that. And there's so much unspoken weight that goes into the days on market that I don't even think that we realize because it's such a deep assumption and it's a subconscious level that people, they don't want a house that's been sitting on the market. It's been walked through a million times. There's been 500 open houses. Everybody's seen it and nobody wants it. What is wrong with it? Well, nothing. It's just priced wrong. It's just priced wrong. So we need to make sure that we price it right out the gate. If you want to test the market, I always give a range. The range is the bottom of the range should make the seller sell it within 1 to 3 days. Like, wow, it's priced well. We're getting multiple offers because we had multiple showings. This one's going fast. You have the middle range. You're probably going to sit for a little while on the market. Might not be as long as you want, but it's definitely going to have showings. But I think people are going to think a second time about the price. And then you have the top of the range, which I don't typically take those listings. It takes about $5,000 for a good listing agent to get a house up on the market. And if I spend a minimum of $5,000 to overprice it, I'm just losing money of my own because I'm paying for everything. I'm not going to get reimbursed when this house sells and I'm running my reputation down the drain. Like, that's not cool for anybody. Now I've lost the seller's vote of confidence on top of it. So when we reduce prices, It is not in increments of 5,000. It is not in increments of 10,000. You have to look at it from a buyer's point of view. So let's pretend that you are on the market for $1 million. The truth is, if somebody thought the house was worth 950, they would have offered that. They would have offered even 925. I don't think that's an overly offensive price. If they think it should be 750, that typically warrants a verbal offer, which means the seller will have a very easy time saying no because it's just a verbal offer. Nothing's in writing. The buyer doesn't feel real, blah, blah, blah. If we go from $1 million to $900,000, that is a huge jump. That is a huge jump. And I think that it would make the people who feel that the house is overpriced more comfortable to submit something in the eights versus going from 1 million to 975,000. If somebody thought it was worth 975,000, they would have submitted 950. They would have submitted 925. There's always going to be that buyer's perception of this is too low. And again, I'm just going to say it one more time in case you forgot. You're like, dude, I didn't forget. We're not pricing on hope. We're not pricing on what you need. We're not pricing on what you spent. And we're not pricing on how long you've lived in the house and how many great memories you have. And I say that with so much love because I will never sell my first place I ever bought in Scottsdale because I just love it too much. And I don't think that any amount of money would ever let me replace it. And I don't think I'd find anything that would make me happier. So for me, I know there's just no dollar amount. And maybe that's how you feel as a seller. But if you're forced to sell, you got to play the game. And you have to listen to your real estate agent who's not overpricing your house, preferably, and understand the reasons that you can't price where you want and why you should price accordingly. And if you can't price it according to the market, then you need to have a smart price reduction strategy.